Hi, good day everyone. Welcome once again to Reading and Writing Skills. Our topic for today is all about writing thesis statements. Okay, so what are the objectives for today's discussion? Okay. Number one, to evaluate a thesis statement by knowing the characteristics of an effective one. And the second one, to write an effective thesis statement. So those are our objectives for today's discussion. Okay, so defining thesis statement. So what is thesis statement? So when we say thesis statement, it is the central idea of an essay around which all other ideas revolve. Okay? It is not just the most important idea. It is also controls the essay by determining what you should or should not include in your work. Okay? In one sentence, it reveals and summarizes the argument you intend to develop and defend. So, the thesis statement reflects your purpose for writing. Okay? It is a constant reminder of your main point and your stand, directing the entire flow of your writing. It should be clear that the thesis statement is not the subject or topic itself, okay? But an interpretation of the topic. For example, if you were asked to write an essay on Noli Me Tangere or martial law during President Marcos' time, your thesis statement would inform the reader of how you understand such a topic and what you deem to be important or debatable about it. Okay? Formulating thesis statements. Okay? So, the thesis statements comes as a result of pre-writing. Okay? It is the product of thinking about your ideas, seeking evidence, and looking for relationships between those. Okay? At times, a potential thesis statement may become clear to you, especially if an interesting angle on an issue catches your attention. Okay? So, in other times, you need to ask some questions that will help you find a thesis statement. Okay? For example, what main idea does most of your pre-writing support? Okay? What are the relationships that exist among those ideas? Okay? Which aspect of the topic seems to be given the most detail? Right? Where does my stand seem to be the most consistent? Okay? What's the focus of the most interesting and significant points of your pre-writing? And what ideas should you do more research for? Okay, so those are some questions that you may ask or that will help you to find out a thesis statement. Okay, so whatever thesis statement you come up with initially is called a working thesis statement. Okay, an argument containing your stand and that you intend to prove with evidence in the essay. Okay, it is called such because you may have to adjust your thesis statement depending on your research and writing as well. Okay? So let us say you are writing a reaction paper about your school's Reserve Officers Training Corps program for your fellow high school students. Okay? After going over your pre-writing, you come up with the following working thesis statement. Okay? High school seniors become more responsible because of joining the Reserve Officers Training Corps program. Okay? However, while writing the essay, you discover that you need to specify exactly what part of the program causes them to be more responsible. You also remember that not all high school seniors are officers. Some are cadets. After doing some research, you decide to revise the working thesis statement as follows. High school seniors who join the Reserve Officers Training Corps program develop better leadership skills because of the discipline instilled in them by the program. So as you can see, creating a thesis statement results from looking at your paper's general subject and narrowing it down to something specific. Okay? In the previous example, the general subject could be the school's extracurricular activities. Another subject is the Reserve Officers Training Corps program, because a thesis statement should contain your opinion on the topic. Okay? You could mention your belief that the program is beneficial for students because it teaches them discipline. Okay? And one helpful way to decide if your thesis statement is too broad or too narrow would be to go back to your pre-writing and draft a list of the contents of your essay. Okay? Adjust your thesis statement accordingly to reflect majority of the contents and the requirements of the essay. You can also look at your general subject and ask a specific question about it. In the previous example, if the general topic were high school extracurricular activities, you might narrow it down by asking which program best instills discipline in high school students, right? And that will give you the idea of the Reserve Officers Training Corps program, okay? So, as you can see, we have here the characteristics of an effective thesis statement. Okay, so we have here 7 characteristics. Number 1, responds to the assignment by following instructions. Going back to the instructions can assure you that your thesis statement is relevant and addresses what your teacher has prescribed. Okay? It can also refocus your argument if needed. Okay? Second, expresses the main idea in 1 to 2 sentences. Okay? A thesis statement should be comprehensive yet concise because you will be spending the rest of the paper proving your point. Okay? Next, number 3, focuses on a specific issue. Okay? Your thesis statement should be sufficiently narrowed based on the boundaries of the assignment. It should only discuss one or a few related issues so that your paper remains focused and you do not ramble or leave some parts undeveloped. Okay? Next, number 4, states stand on the topic. Okay? A thesis statement must reveal your attitude toward the topic. Your attitude will show how you intend to interpret or discuss the issue. And this is what differentiates you from the other writers who may be writing about the same topic as well. Okay? Your attitude also is what helps you elaborate on a topic, because there is only so much that can be said about something factual. Okay, next, number 5. Say something meaningful by answering the questions, so what, how, and why. A good thesis statement shows why the reader should care about your work. The significance of your paper is clear to the reader if your thesis statement is able to answer the question, so what? Okay. Next, your thesis statement should be able to substantiate your claims by providing the reader evidence or an idea of how you intend to support your stand. This is usually answerable by addressing how and also why. Okay? Next, number 6, previews the rest of the essay by being placed in the introduction. So a thesis statement is usually placed in the introduction so that the reader knows what to expect in reading your essay. Number 7, reflects a tone and point of view appropriate to the identified purpose and audience. Okay? Your thesis statement should consider the writing situation you find yourself in. Okay? This requires thinking about why you are writing and who you are writing for. Okay? Does the way your thesis statement is written reflect these concerns adequately? Okay? So those are the characteristics of an effective thesis statement. Okay, so here are some more guidelines on writing thesis statements. Okay, number 1, avoid making overly opinionated stands. Okay, while a thesis statement needs to reveal your attitude toward the topic, be careful not to go to the extremes and write a thesis statement with an exaggerated claim. This is because you need to prove your thesis statement first and avoid imposing your opinion on the reader, lest you affect their disposition toward you. Okay? For example, instead of saying the officers of the Reserve Officers Training Corps are merciless slave drivers who abuse their fellow students. Okay? You might say the officers of the Reserve Officers Training Corps should exercise more responsibility toward their authority by being sensitive to how they lead their fellow students. Okay? The way this statement is worded makes the same point without coming on too strongly. Okay? Next, avoid making announcements. Sometimes it is easier just to tell your reader what you intend to write about. You might say, in this essay, I will be discussing the benefits of joining the Reserve Officers Training Corps. The problem with this statement is that it does not specify what those benefits are or what your attitude toward the subject is. Okay, that is the problem with that statement. Okay, so avoid making announcements. Next, number 3, avoid stating only facts. Okay, as previously mentioned, your thesis statement must reveal your attitude toward the topic. This is what allows your topic to be developed. If you rely only on facts in your thesis statement, you will not have much room for discussion because facts are generally not as debatable as opinions. Okay? Your thesis statements must contain a position that your reader can oppose. Okay? Thus, A thesis statement like the Reserve Officers Training Corps is a program that prepares students to serve in the military does not invite much debate from a reader because that statement is generally accepted. So, the last guideline, avoid stating